Hello, everyone. Welcome back to a very special episode of Uncanny Treks as we wind down our coverage of Too Old to Die Young. And no one is happier about that than Matt in the Southland. I am Bob in the Cascadia. Matt, how are you expressing your joy this morning that we are finishing Too Old to Die Young?
I'm extremely happy, Bob, that this show that you have forced me to watch is over. It ends, though, on more relaxing. I don't know if that was intentional, but there isn't as much bad stuff happening in the final episodes as in the previous ones that were awful. And I had to even the baby's upset about it, Bob.
Even the baby's upset.
Yes.
The baby didn't like the episode in Vegas. The baby didn't like our protagonist getting beheaded. It all upset the baby.
The baby really disliked Too Old to Die Young. Isn't that right?
Well, Matt, I would say the baby needs to grow a pair and develop some more adventurous taste. That's what I would say to her.
I would agree, Bob. I would agree. I'm really thinking we need to expand her horizons.
Another thing we could expand the baby's horizon with, Matt, would be Twin Peaks: The Return. I note this because we got a lot of Twin Peaks: The Return's connections, especially we're talking episode 9, Empress here. This is the penultimate episode of Too Old to Die Young. And Jenna Malone's having dreams, Matt. She's hearing elevator whooshes. She's seeing visions of fire. It's all very Twin Peaks: The Return.
Just so you're aware, Bob, it really freaked me out because the baby smiled when you said Twin Peaks: The Return. That should not.
That's a smart baby.
That should not be normal. But yeah,
what's up?
These two episodes, though, they really do give you those vibes, though, because I guess it's just the slow pacing is a huge part of it. That's been the entire series, but this episode particularly, and just the scene work and where everybody's positioned in certain ways, and I don't know, I just got a lot of Twin Peaks from it.
Did you like Jenna Malone's blue dune eyes when she wakes up from the dream?
Yeah, it's freaky. Is this the effect they use for anyone who's ever possessed in any movie?
They just use it for Dune and this, although maybe there's other examples I'm not thinking.
Horror movies and stuff use that black eye thing a lot. It's a really cool looking effect.
Yeah. As a side note, ladies and gentlemen, we were thinking about covering the Dune TV show, but it's boring.
Yeah.
There doesn't really seem to be much to say about it on a weekly basis. Maybe we will do an episode when the whole thing is ended and just because it's only 6 episodes, I believe, and make a few observations there. I'm at least going to try to catch up with it. I doubt Matt's commitment. I don't think he's got the fire in his belly to finish out this boring prequel set 10,000 years before the movie.
I really don't, Bob. I really don't think I'm going to go any further into the Dune series, but glad I got to watch that first episode and know what I'm not missing.
You should definitely watch the movies at some point. The movies are amazing.
Okay.
But I'm not sure. Quit the TV show if you don't think that's really good. Don't give up on the Villeneuve movies. They're actually good.
Don't give up on Dune. Okay, Bob. I won't give up on it just yet.
No. The books are terrible. The TV show's terrible. I'm just saying watch 2 movies. That's all I'm saying.
Watch the
Don't make it sound like I'm trying to change your life and impose a 30-season commitment on you.
So watch the David Lynch film and the first new Dune, right? Kidding. Watch the 2 new ones. I got you. 2 new films, Bob.
Yeah.
Will do.
I know.
Will do.
The David Lynch one is fun too, but I knew you were being willfully obtuse, and it was frustrating.
Yeah.
So, Matt, speaking of visions of better Dune that's maybe to come after the TV show is done, do you like a Sierra Mist after you have a vision like Jenna Malone?
What was that all about, Bob? Was that product placement for this show? Did this show really have some product placement?
Oh, the baby doesn't like product placement.
The baby really doesn't like product placement. It's really lame.
Yeah, the baby knows.
They should have come up with a creative way of their own brand of soda.
I'm willing to believe it's product placement, but I'm also willing to believe that Villeneuve doesn't care, and it's just like, okay, she needs a refreshing drink. Get her a refreshing drink.
I just wonder how much that cost them. Yeah. You just watch the first couple of episodes of the show. See if we could put this, or here's the pilot episode. Watch it and see what you think, and then we'll see if we can put your product later on down the line. Yeah, I'm sure that went
well. Matt, did you like how Jesus and Eureka moved from their stepmother porn to going to the Roadhouse from The Return? They're going to see this band sing a song.
They have this cartel meeting to discuss cartel TV and all things cartel, which is, hey, do they really have meetings like this, you think? Or are they just kind of...
I think so, yeah. Yeah, I think so.
And just basic stuff like that, it just comes out. You know what, we could have our own TV streaming service. Cartel TV.
Well, I loved how meta it was.
Yeah.
They're discussing the NRA TV, and then they're discussing cartel TV. And in a way, they're just talking about the show you've watched. In a way, it's almost like a preview for the show you just saw.
It's really messed up and meta. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. So, Matt, another connection I wanted to make when John Hawkes' mother is dying, which I know makes the baby sad, you get a lot of 2001 A Space Odyssey vibes. You get classical music and you get the woo woo sound effects. Did that resonate for you?
I mean, it could, yeah. I'm not a huge 2001: A Space Odyssey fan, but I do. The music is obviously recognized. Everybody knows those themes. But yeah, I did get that. Yeah,
That's because you needed to use drugs and watch it again. Not that
yeah, probably so. It's probably the only way to watch that film.
Also, the best way to watch David Lynch's Dune. I speak from experience. So, Matt, what was your shot of our penultimate episode here, The Empress?
So my shot episode, Bob, is when Hawks, the murder montage is straight out of a Grindhouse film.
Yeah. Jenna Malone sends John Hawkes to, some might say, clear a homeless encampment.
Yeah.
Jenna Malone ensures him that it's only made up of the most vile sort of sex criminals. And yeah, a very weird stylized montage, but very cool, like you say,
Yeah.
where John Hawkes just murders people. I'm going to give it to the image of Jesus and Yuritsa as they sit together in a booth. It's very cool. It's very stylized. It's very well lit. And Jesus is just delivering withering insult after withering insult to the rest of the cartel. Really beautiful image. My favorite insult he gives them is he tells them, "You sound like Americans."
Yeah, this is how you get your gang together, not like in The Penguin, you know? This is how you unite them. This is how you give a speech.
I'd totally forgotten about the Penguin, but it's good since we originally started this to do the Penguin and Too Old to Die Young. It's good to commemorate that Jesus is a much, much better gang leader than the Penguin.
He has mommy issues too, Bob, and he's able to handle it.
I mean, mommy issues go way, way back in gangster fiction, at least back to Public Enemy and James Cagney, at least.
Yeah, it's a pretty common thing.
Yeah. One other shot I did want to call out that I was thinking about is Jenna Malone and John Hawkes meet amidst, I don't know, a sewer place or something. There's a lot of pipes, a lot of water pumping station, I guess. And Jenna Malone is telling John Hawkes about the encampment of sex offenders. And it's really, really beautiful scene, though, because you have red and purple lights all over these blue pipes where they're meeting. It just looked really cool.
Yeah, I remember that scene as well. Now, Bob, when it comes to character of the episode, though, I've got to give it to Jesus, primarily for that last line where he completely goes off on the members there.
Yeah. It's always great to use American as an insult. I agree. I was very drawn to Jesus. I do want to give it to Jenna Malone, though the end of this episode is actually very moving. Jenna Malone is waiting for John Hawkes in a diner, talking to a waitress, eating some pie.
Yeah.
John Hawkes walks in. There's a kind of Twin Peaks-esque score to him coming in. It very much reminds you of Ed and Norma getting together at the end of Twin Peaks: The Return, but much more subdued in terms of emotion and music. Clearly Twin Peaks, though, is a big influence of that, though.
Yeah, same feelings. And it's hard to describe that Twin Peaks feeling. I don't even know how to put it into words sometimes. Can you, just something feels like Twin Peaks. It feels like David Lynch. It feels like it's Lynchian.
I feel like the amount of Lynchian things in this would be, sometimes it's other things, but it's a combination of the slowness, the surrealness, the occasional ultra violence, and then specific music choices. Not necessarily always the content of the music, but the way the music is used to highlight stuff.
Yeah, I agree. The music is so important too, and I think that's why I'm afraid if they ever decide to go back, and I don't think this is going to happen, but if they were to do another season of Twin Peaks, let's just say, for the sake of it, it would not be good because you don't have the original composer. He's already passed. So many of the characters have
Angelo
passed.
Badalamenti is.
I'm pretty sure he did. Yeah.
Oh, that's sad. That's sad.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, but that's really sad. Really amazing work. Yeah, so many folks were already dead or very ill when they made Twin Peaks: The Return.
Right. But I'm really not thinking they're going to make another one, but people they always want more. And that's not necessarily a good thing.
Yeah. Well, I can definitely see Lynch doing something unconventional and interesting for another season, and I would for sure watch it. I do agree it would be harder and he would have to be more unconventional because so many of the cast members are gone, and definitely long may Lynch still live, but I don't want to see anybody do Twin Peaks after Lynch.
Yeah. All right, Bob. So wrapping it up for this final episode.
10.
Yeah.
Yeah, Matt, were you really expecting a long one? Were you thinking they were going to go 2 hours for this episode 10, The World?
I did, but it only lasted, 30 minutes at the most, I think.
Yeah, it's basically just two 15-minute short films about
Yeah.
surviving them, and you get
Right.
15 minutes on Zena Malone and 15 minutes on Yuritsa, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's really all it is.
Oh, yeah, I was just gonna say, one thing that probably did disturb you is we have the wholesome reuniting of John Hawkes and Jenna Malone at the end of episode 9, but episode 10, we just open with this extended VR masturbation
Yeah.
scene.
Yep. And then she dances.
She's a very good dancer, I just want to
Yeah,
say.
she is.
She's taking an off day, she's taking a self-care day, and she's just dancing around, sitting at the pool, not dealing with her job of, supporting sex abuse victims. So
Right. Yeah. Being a normal, being a normal person, Bob, just being a happy person that doesn't fit in this world that has been created in the last how many 10 episodes.
That's basically the day. She takes the first
Yeah.
off day. And then I've already forgotten who said this line. I think it was somebody in Yuritsa's scene, but there's this very ominous line about concentration camps will be rebuilt.
Yeah.
Very, very ominous line, especially in light of Gaza and all that.
And everything going on today in the world. Yes. Wonderful. So awful.
Indeed. Well, Matt, I did want to ask, who did you like the final shootout better of? John Hawkes or Yuritsa, John Hawkes or the High Priestess of Death?
I mean, I like John Hawkes better, just the way it was framed, but Euritha's pretty too. I mean, you can't deny that.
Yeah. What was your shot of the episode?
So, Bob, if I had to shot the episode, I'll probably just give it to the whole scene with Jenna dancing. There's just something like, it changes the mood of the entire series, just watching that scene. I feel like it's what he was trying to do. There's just it's an emotional ride. And this final episode is, we're just finishing it off. Everything's going to be okay.
Yeah, even though most of the cast is dead.
Yeah, well, it's okay because they're all dead, because they were horrible people, most of them. Yes.
Everybody, I guess Janie arguably wasn't, but Janie was going to be a horrible person.
Oh, yeah. Janie would develop into a horrible person. Her and her dad were going to have like some weird empire. It was going to be like the McMahons.
Matt, what you're saying is if cartel vengeance, or dare we say cartel justice, had never come, then Billy Baldwin would have been Vince McMahon, Janie would have been Stephanie McMahon, and Martin would have been Triple H.
Exactly, Bob. That is exactly what would have happened, and it would have been disgusting. There'd be poop on everybody.
Since the Lyndon McMahon equivalent is already dead, I guess that would just mean that Jamie would become the new Secretary of Education in the Trump administration.
Yeah, we'll let her become that, yes, because she's very qualified for that.
What is education if not sports and entertainment, man?
Exactly. That's all it is, Bob. It's really all education is.
Sports and entertainment, baby. So my shot of the episode is Yuritsa walking out the door after rampaging. It's a hell of a final shot. Matt, so who is your character of the episode?
Bob, I think we both agree here. The character of this episode is going to be Yuritsa. This was her ending. I mean, she came out on top.
Very good episode for her. I also noticed that I hadn't really given it to Yuritsa before. I sort of gave it to her in the sense I gave it to Jesus' dead mom, who, arguably is Yuritsa. But I still felt like I needed to actually give it to Yuritsa once before it was over. I also noticed when I was looking at my characters of the episode, I didn't give it to Damien/Dr. Mabinga, but, I would just argue that Damien/Dr. Mabinga is always in my heart, so I don't necessarily have to commemorate that by giving him a character of the episode.
Yeah, I got to see more of him, more of the actor just doing any role. Guy's awesome.
He's one reason you should watch the first Villeneuve Dune movie. He's in it. He's very good.
And Strange New Worlds for those of you that don't watch Star Trek.
Yeah, he's great in Strange New Worlds. One of the best things on the cast. So, Matt, I did want to ask, I'm pretty sure that this was never meant to be an ongoing TV show. I'm pretty sure it was just always meant to be a miniseries. But some people do talk about it as if it was a season 1 and then it didn't get renewed. So do you think if we had done season 2 with just Jesus versus Yuritsa and Yuritsa had teamed up with Jenna Malone and a dying John Hawkes, would that have worked for you?
I would not want to watch any more of this, Bob. I think this has pretty much run its course. The Copenhagen Cowboy thing. We're done with it. We've told the story.
Yeah, I don't know. As I described that, I want to watch it.
No,
if they make it, I'll find some pretext to make you watch it, but I don't.
I feel
so I think you're safe, Matt.
They'd have to introduce a whole new set of characters to go with them, and that would.
Well, they probably would do that too.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Well, Matt, here, now that we've reached the end, now that we've seen it all the way through, do you prefer Too Old to Die Young or do you prefer Copenhagen Cowboy?
100% Copenhagen Cowboy, because I could withstand that show and didn't have to bleach my eyes, clean my eyes out with bleach.
I think you're doing revisionist history. There was some
Copenhagen Cowboy had some messed up stuff, yes, Bob, but nowhere near compared to this show. Nowhere near compared. No.
I don't know. It begins with sex trafficking. That's where.
But Too Old to Die Young was nothing but like it was sex trafficking, corruption, nastiness. forced prostitution. There's so much stuff going on there. It's bad.
I'm just gonna say I prefer Too Old to Die Young. I think I like Copenhagen Cowboy a lot, but I think there's more to Too Old to Die Young.
Yeah.
I did want to read a quick little review from Letterboxd, which kind of sums up my feelings on Too Old to Die Young. I think it says it better than I could. And it just goes, essential slow cinema, refusal of in-depth character investigation, imagist compositions, score structure and pace, a stretched, mirrored out, glacial identification of our sick society. And I thought that was very good.
That definitely sums it up, Bob, which is why I'm probably never going to watch this again and not going to recommend it to people.
Well, Matt, I will keep evangelizing it without you.
All right.
I did think it might be funny here at the very end, Matt, for us to overview each other's character tallies.
Yes.
So who we picked for character of the week. I'm really looking forward to doing yours. So for the first episode, Matt picked Billy Baldwin.
Yes.
For the second episode, and then for one other episode, so for two total, Matt picked Yuritsa.
Right.
My favorite choice, Matt picked the Lieutenant. That was, that
the Lieutenant's awful. He's an awful character. But for one episode, the third episode he's in the third episode.
No, I think the first episode he's in, but the third episode.
The episode that I chose him in he was not as bad. But he's really not. He seems like he's trying to help these people, but then we've soon learned that's not the case.
Yeah. The babies know. It was always obvious what a creep he was. How could you not see it?
He's a fascist, yes. Big time fascist.
Big time fascist. You went with Janie, a.k.a. Steffi McMahon, for episode 4. You famously went no one for episode 5.
Yeah, and no one needs to watch episode 5 ever. So there you go.
You went Jesus, I believe, for episode, was it 6 and 9?
Yeah.
And then you went Dr. Mabinga for episode 7, where he goes out. And then you went a.k.a. Damien. And then you went John Hawkes for your last one.
Right. So that was pretty much it, Bob. Yeah, I don't think my character selection was that bad because honestly, Dr. Mbinga's character, he's redeemable. Other than picking the Lieutenant once and Billy Baldwin, who's just crazy as hell. But his character was interesting.
But you knew Billy Baldwin was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
and I think it's hilarious that you picked the Lieutenant. I'm so glad you picked the Lieutenant. The one I would actually give you crap for is declining to pick someone for number 5.
Well, I mean, I'm refusing to pick Martin for anything.
Martin is both a terrible person and I think somewhat intentionally a pretty boring protagonist. So I don't believe either of us picked Martin.
So I'm going to go through your list. You picked Larry, who was the partner at the beginning of the first episode who gets shot.
Yeah. A truly terrible person, but a very interesting character.
Very corrupt cop. You picked Miguel, who made it clear that the cartel is the soccer team.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite lines. I still quote that line to my buddy Noah regularly. Today we are not a cartel. Today we are a soccer team. That still makes me laugh.
Then you put the bartender that Janie's mean to, who we never see her face.
Oh, I thought we saw her face.
Well, I think she was more like off screen.
We only see her in the one scene, but I thought we saw her face.
Then you chose Jenna Malone's character twice.
Yep.
Which is fine. Lil Billy, who's that? I don't remember this character.
Oh, that's the guy I picked from episode 5. That's
God, Bob. Oh, jeez.
Him and the pornography brother arguing in the hybrid cars.
Yeah.
Chase Martin.
Yeah.
So Lil Billy's he's truly a horrific creep, but very interesting horrific creep.
Then he chose Magdalena.
That's Jesus's mom, who arguably was Yuritsa in a prior life.
Right. And then Nick Cage's cousin.
Yeah, that's the fat cop who is talking to him on the cell phone in front of Damien. God, I love that scene.
And then the penultimate episode, I think you chose Jesus. And the final episode, you chose Yuritsa.
That's right.
All right, Bob. So not too bad.
Matt's like Bob's choices are even worse and more disgusting. I mean, truly, Larry and Little Billy are the worst characters.
They're awful.
The
I'm just thankful you never chose Martin.
Martin's the greatest creep of all, which, I guess that's the lesson of Too Old to Die Young. Matt, thank you for joining me with this really weird journey. I don't think I have any other really weird journeys planned out for you anytime soon. So, you can take a long rest. You can be the boss I'm tired meme, and you don't have to watch strange, disturbing, visually experimental television for a long time.
You're not going to watch me watch some awful horror film that everybody... I'm trying to think of what the name of the movie is, that awful horror film that just burned my mind that I'd never want to watch again.
Did I make you watch it?
No, you didn't make me watch it. I watched it on my own accord because I wanted to see how awful it was. It's the one with the dude...
Sallow?
That's it, Sallow.
The one where they're they're at the monastery and they're doing the
Oh,
120
oh,
days of
oh,
sun.
okay. Salo 120 Days is terrible, yes. But there's another film too. It's the one he's the pornographer and he goes and he ends up they trick him into having sex with this kid.
Huh. That sort of sounds familiar.
It's awful. One of the worst films ever made.
An actual horror movie that I don't think is too bad that I would recommend to you. I just watched it with the friends Sunday night as Late Night with the Devil. It's basically they have a possessed girl as a guest on a talk show, and they shoot it like a single episode of a 70s talk show.
Oh,
So it's a 70s talk show, but it's also The Exorcist. It's a very cool little movie.
that actually does sound entertaining. That sounds good.
I know, like me, you watched entirely too much Conan and Leno and Letterman when you were a kid. So
Oh, yeah.
even though it's 70s rather than 90s, I still think that the people who made the movie, I suspect, watched a lot of 90s late night too.
Name this movie and you're just going to be, oh, that's awful. But I cannot think of the name of it off the top of my head.
Text it to me when you figure it out because I want to know.
We'll
Ladies
do,
and
Bob.
gentlemen, this has been Too Old to Die Young. Thank you for going with us on this very strange, very rewarding journey. God bless Nick Refn. I hope they let this man keep making streaming television. He's great at it. I am Bob in Cascadia. That is Matt in the Southland. Have a great night.
Thanks for listening.